Looks like we're actually live, and things are working just fine. I like how my likes shot up from 3 to 13 in an instant. Good job, YouTube, for hiding the likes for some reason. Ah, fun times, fun times. I'm just double checking everything, making sure things are working just fine. Testing out the chat. Letting people slowly trickle in. Viewership is increasing, that's good. Okay, that is working, excellent. Good job, YouTube, for... Let me mute myself, that might be good. And yes, we'll have different screens, it won't be just this, don't worry. Right now, the main goal is to make sure that everything is working as it should. Now, with this, I was supposed to also go live on YouTube. Not YouTube, this is YouTube. I was supposed to also go live on Facebook, that's it. But I can't help but notice that we are not live. So, fantastic. Hello, Arm Goblin. How are you doing on this fine day? Why are we not live on Facebook? Alright, well, that does not matter. Well, it does matter, don't get me wrong. It's actually kind of annoying. But, we're here to celebrate some good times. Oh, wait. Am I actually live? I just got a notification on my phone, and yes! Don't know how that worked out, but okay, and we're back here. Hello, Saiyan Sage. I'm still just gonna test out some things. What if I add this little heart emoji? Will that come up on this screen? How's my day been? My day has been... how has today been? Today's been a pretty regular day up until the past 2 hours. I've been getting ready for the stream. It's kind of funny. I had, okay, there we go. The chat is working up here. I'm doing swell. Also, isn't Facebook like a bad app? Yes, but my goal is to get as many people watching this as I can. I know there's a lot of people who follow me on Facebook, but not on YouTube. Because when I started this business, I started the Facebook page. In fact, this business is why I even made a Facebook to begin with. And YouTube, I've only been around for a little over 2 years. Even though I have more followers on YouTube, over, what, 6,700 something? On Facebook, it's been... What am I at? I forget, but I should not forget because it stagnated at the same number for almost a year now. Basically, Facebook changed something in their algorithm because United States elections, and ever since they did that, my YouTube... I could be getting confused. My Facebook page has just died. But it is what it is. I've got chats open up all over the place to make sure I catch everybody. So for any Facebook people, hello, feel free to chat and send whatever love. But let's go ahead and begin talking about this 6 years of tea and business. Yet only 6 people are watching the stream. Well, 7 now. And on Facebook, I don't know, but I can actually see the numbers on that. Live, but I don't see the numbers. Oh well. Yeah, it is a bit sad, but I only have about 6,700 followers, like mentioned before. In terms of how many people watch a live stream, it's, yeah, pretty average. Alright, so, I'm gonna go ahead and prattle on like I usually do, but at the same time, like most other live streams, this is a back and forth with the chat. So if you guys have any types of questions or comments or anything of the sort, feel free to let me know, type them up away. Don't forget there is about a 15-second delay in between your chats and what I see. So do you have a shop? A physical store? No. I tried to open up the physical store back in 2018, as I mentioned, and that gave me a really good insight into just how horrible it is to try and do any type of business in Illinois. I've done whole podcasts, or TCasts as they call them, surrounding that topic. It was a nightmare beyond belief, and when I try again, it will not be in Illinois, it'll be preferably most likely somewhere in Texas. I have not decided where yet. That decision is too far off into the future, one step at a time. Right now the goal is to continue getting the YouTube channel more solidified, getting the store more solidified. It's fantastic. For the past, I forget how many months, but it's been a constant increase in people's support, and it's just been great. It's also been kind of fun, saying that sarcastically, dealing with all the various things YouTube has been doing to make things more difficult. For those unaware, the past week has been, if you were an avatar last airbender, would I will be your business rival or partner? Preferably partner. Actually, when it comes to the tea industry, there's not really too much rivalry going on. No tea shops are ever, as far as I can tell, at odds with one another. Everybody tries to work together and just kind of celebrate their loves and passions. That in itself sounds nice, but it's also led to a lot of problems, as I've seen from the back end of things. Obviously, I'm not going to mention any specific people, mostly because I can't remember them. But there's a lot of people who feel that if they work with just love, everything will be just fine. All you need is love and you can run a business. As I have learned in these past 6 years, that is definitely not the case. In fact, even me saying 6 years is a bit of a misnomer. I should be more likely saying 10 or 11 years. Have I read Jujutsu Kaisen? I have not. I've heard plenty of people talk about it, but it's just not been something which I have caught up on. So, I mentioned this in previous streams where... Also, let me know if the audio is okay, if anything is too loud or too soft. Obviously, you can hear me because I can see people talking. So I started this business venture actually all the way back in 2010. When I was, how old was I? 20? 21? Something along those lines. Let's say 21. That sounds most accurate. And when I began it, it was not... Well, it wasn't Dragon's Treasure, but it was not an anime theme. It was just a tea business. And with that, I began with only 4 teas. Is Lipton tea any good? No, Lipton tea is absolutely terrible. Those are one of the companies I will never stop bad-mouthing. Lipton tea is the dust of the good stuff that other tea companies make. So yes, I began the business actually back in 2010, and I closed up in about a year because I had no idea what I was actually doing. I thought I would have known what I was doing, but as I found out, that is horribly misguided. There is a lot of stuff that goes into business that you never think about until you are kind of hit in the face with it. First off, making teas, mixing them, and judging if a tea is good for a wider audience or not. It takes a little bit more work than just, hey, I like this tea, therefore everyone else will. Dealing with all of the tax stuff behind the scenes, that's always been quite a fun adventure. And when I began, I didn't even so much as have a website. I had the Facebook page, and that was it. I did a lot of weird things to try and basically find people. I tried the door-to-door thing, where I go to people's doors, give them a sample of a tea, along with a brochure I made on... What did I make it on? Definitely wasn't Photoshop. Must have been just Microsoft Word, yeah. You know, one of those shitty little pamphlets made of Microsoft Word that you can tell that no professional ever touched. That was me. Oh no, I can't see that. Has liked the stream. Thank you, Steven. I'm gonna see if I can fix that. How would I fix this? Because I do not want the logo to be blocking that stuff. Let me do a couple of adjustments here. Doing this kind of on the fly, as you can tell. Okay. Audio output. I think that might have... No, alert box is all the way down there. So, gotta practice even further down. While I'm editing this. So yeah, that lasted about a year before I realized that I had no idea what the hell I was doing. My knowledge in economics at the time was still not good. I was still learning, but when it comes to economics, there's a lot of stuff that you need to know before you start this type of stuff. So yeah, that closed down, and ever since then, somewhere in the back of my mind, I was thinking, at some point, I will get the store up and running. At some point, things will go. At some point, I will pull the trigger. At some point, I will get this guy going. And in the beginning, that was a good thing to do, because I already saw I did not have the skills to be able to properly do it. And after a certain point, good evening, cemetery lady. How are you doing this fine day? And after a certain point, as other people pointed to me, by other people I mean actually just one person, I can only keep this going for so long. I will wait until the right time. Because truthfully, there really isn't much of a right time to do much. And at this point, I had just moved out into a new apartment with 2 roommates. Steady work with the jobs, personal trainer, also working at Whole Foods. I think, no, at this point I have not began doing Uber. Doing great, thank you. Wishing my sun-brewed tea was done already. Sun-brewed tea? Is that what you just put in the water and just let the sun do the work? I have not done any of that. No to cold brew. Alright, looks like... Alright, I put the chair in a decent place. Should be fine. So yeah, eventually I kind of just decided I kind of have to go with it. But I gotta think of what I'm gonna do. Because one of the problems I had in the beginning was always thinking, I want to do this, and I want to do that, and this thing and that thing, don't forget about this. And it became this giant mesh of everything, where nothing really stood out. I remember one of the first ideas I developed with a friend was setting up the store in some kind of a tea around the world type of stuff. Where one corner of the store was going to be Japanese focused, another corner Chinese focused, another corner Indian, another corner African, Sri Lankan, Russian, Eastern European, on and on. But you only have so many corners. Yep, I live out on Cali. You put a few tea bags in a big container of water and leave it out in the sun for a few hours. Get a strong tea that is not super bitter. Interesting. So yeah, my ideas were all over the place. And after a certain point, after talking with people, I decided, okay, if no time is ever the right time, I might as well go along with it, but I don't know exactly what route I want to take with every idea I have. And while in a meeting with somebody, I mentioned the idea of having an anime-themed tea business, but then I brushed it off kind of quickly. Are you going to get any employees in the business? When I get the physical store, yes. At the moment, I've hired, I don't know what you call it, occasional independent contractors. Just people I know. Hey, you want to come over? I'll pay you $10 an hour to help me bag some tea. and that's all I can really do at the moment. But when I get the physical store, of course, I'm gonna need some help. So I mentioned the anime themed, and the person who was with me, my mentor, said, whoa, 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 hold on. Go back to that idea. And even I was not too big of a fan of it in the beginning, because I make a very common mistake, which is thinking, well, I have not seen this done before, therefore the idea will not work. Which is pretty dumb of me looking at it in hindsight, because I'm usually the guy who quotes Henry Ford and saying, if I asked what my customers wanted, they would have said faster horses. Which we'll get back to that at some point, that quote. I've tried cold brewing before, but it always turns out bitter. At some point I should give those things a shot, because I'm the tea man, I'm supposed to know all these type of things. Alright, viewers looking good. So just checking things, making sure everything is working in the back. Alright, so we discussed it after a while, and finally, both he and I managed to talk myself into it. See, the idea was there, but since I did not have the entire thing immediately fleshed out, I tried to just kind of shoo it away. But as we talked more and more, I began to develop it in my head, and I began to see how things can work. I began to know a couple of teas I've had before, which makes me think, you know, this tea, if I related to this character, that makes sense. And eventually I decided, okay, I'm doing it. And I realized that the idea was not going to fly well with many other people, because every person I told about it, have you ever been tea drunk? I've heard if you brew certain teas, right, they can give you, you're talking about pu'er teas, and I have not, at least not yet. At some point I want to get deeper into pu'er, because you can be tea drunk, you can get a little bit high off of them if you get the right ones brewed correctly, but I do not know anything beyond just that surface level stuff. What inspired you into starting a business? You know what, we'll get into that in just a little bit. So I told my friends, do a few short videos on the best way to brew teas. I do want to make more tea related content on the channel, but I can't at the moment because they take time. I need to devote the time to making things grow. Specifically because tea stuff does not market well on YouTube. And so I'm going to put in all of this work and whatnot, and nothing is going to come out of it. Right now I'm still in a phase where I'm trying to solidify myself. And after I solidify myself, when I get like 100 free hours a week, not a week, 100 free hours a month, then I can devote some of that to making tea related videos. It is in my agenda, it's been on the agenda since day one, but things have to happen in a particular order. So I told my friends that I'm gonna relaunch the business and it's going to be anime themed, and nobody was going for the idea. Their opinions range from that is not a good idea to you're basically an idiot. And throughout the whole thing, I didn't get mad, I didn't get pissy, I didn't even argue, I just said, I know why you think that, trust me, I understand, I'm going to make it work. And that's been kind of my mantra for a while, I'm going to make it work. Have you tried TikTok? 1 to 3 minute videos, and I learned so much in there about different kinds of teas, just an idea. Personally, I do not want to touch TikTok for a variety of reasons. One of them being, it's too much like Chinese spyware, and I don't want it on my computer, or my phone, or anything of the sort. Alright, so, what inspired you into starting a business? That is a bit of a complicated question, because it was not one single thing that inspired me to do the business. It was a multitude of things all coming together that maybe finally decide to start/relaunch the business. One of those is my brash way of doing things that is basically, I'm trying to keep it YouTube friendly so it doesn't get demonetized. Right. Basically, screw you, I do what I want, and if I cannot find somebody who does something correctly, I will do it myself. I had a big issue with big businesses and corporations that worked entirely for the money, but had no soul in what they were doing. And believe me, at some point we'll go... 1 second, switching over. Gotta adjust things because I'm dumb. At some point we're gonna go over some things, like what this building here is, and what this building has to do with my tea shop. And that's gonna make me probably a little bit emotional, but in a good way. Alright. So a multitude of things went into this business. One, me thinking I can do it better than everybody else, which I was both right and wrong on that. I was wrong in the sense of I could not do it better than anybody else at that moment. I was right in the sense of give me enough time and I'm gonna do it better than everybody else. And as more time goes on, more stories I hear, more business owners I meet, I feel that more and more. Another reason, mostly for the relaunch phase, is somebody got me into tea back in 2006. And her name was Crystal. I was going to have a picture of her up, but I decided not to. She passed away in 2012. And like I said, she is the reason I even got into tea to begin with. She was one of those people where... Unfortunately, there's so many people who have said so many things on the internet that I feel that words will not really do justice of what I want to espouse, but... she was going to be the only person who I would have been able to tolerate, / would have been able to tolerate me. But things happened, and we went our separate ways, much earlier than we wanted to. It's complicated. And in a way, this store is a bit of a homage to the relationship I had with her. So there is some really deep personal feelings associated with the store. Like, by all accounts, this store is not just a business. And we'll go into many details of how it's not just a business as time goes on. In fact, one of the teas I have is called Crystal's Get My Chip, because that is the first tea she ever had me try at the store. I began going to the tea store to see her and speak with her. But then after I tried the tea, I realized, oh wow, this is actually good. This is better than, like, you know, the bagged store-bought stuff my mom makes. This was, what, 2006, so 16? Sounds about right. So around 16, I'm 32 now. So, oh wow, like half my life at this point. I did not see that coming. So yeah, so about half my life, I've been a tea guy. How do you provide for people who order online? I just ship it. You know, I have the online store, people buy, I ship. Simple as that. So yeah, that's one reason. Another reason is... putting things in a way which I can get the message across to people on YouTube is kind of difficult. Especially right now, the internet is in a weird place with all of the censorship and the trolls and people who are too sensitive and people who want a virtue signal. But I feel like anything I say is going to be misconstrued as something else. Doesn't help that English is the second language, but that's neither here nor there at the moment. Basically, I do want to do some good in this world. I do. It might be my own specific brand of doing good, but it's still, in a sense, doing good. And there's many things behind the tea shop / multimedia center. I guess not a center, but I mean, what would you call it? That I have Facebook for the memes and YouTube for the videos. I mean, it's media. It's media in multiple different ways, so it's some form of multimedia. I mentioned before that I want to do anime. I want to actually have my own anime studio to make my works, things which I have written out in the past. Dubbing studio, so people can experience what a good dub sounds like. Take Funimation, bring them out of business. Just like I said, I get mad when I see companies always being bad at what they do. And so I want to take over what they do. The gym, that's another thing, but that's a little bit too far out in the future. So yeah, there's a lot of good things I want to do, and telling stories is a big part of that. We all know people who have either read a specific book or watched a specific movie or TV show, and it's basically changed their life forever, for better or worse. They might end up being in some kind of a cult, or they might end up becoming a better person in one way or another. And I want to help spread that. And he is an excellent mediator. Tensions are always high between people, especially nowadays, and tea is always the perfect thing to drink when having some form of negotiation, whether it be a fight between friends or some big important business dealing, or back in the day, warlords talked over, terms of agreement over tea. Are you going to animate your future anime? Well, not me specifically, I cannot draw to save my life, but I plan to hire animators. I plan to put a lot of money into the work itself. For the shows I plan to make, this goes back to the business is more than just a business, because the money is not the main goal or focus. What I really intend to do is create my own everything. And so even if I can't make any money via the animation because I pump too much money into it, I would be okay with that. Because I was able to tell the story I wanted to tell. And at the same time, people see this great work that I created and decide, hey, who made this awesome thing? Brought to you by The Dragon's Treasure. See what else we offer. And they go and buy the what else we offer stuff, and sure enough, things begin to grow. Should write a book. I've had inclinations to do that. One of the things I've actually wanted to do is I want to take the saga, The Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and rewrite it in a much easier to read and digest way, where I make it happen in a fantasy land with made-up characters, quote-unquote, but it follows the same plot as Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Because it's such a fascinating period in history, but all of the names just make things so complicated, too many people being mentioned, a lot of plot points, they say it in the books that doesn't really need to be there. So I want to be able to bring this awesome, incredible story of history to a more modern audience. And if that means westernizing a couple of names, so be it. If people really like it, they'll find out at some point, hey, this is actually based off Romance of the Three Kingdoms. If you want to look at the original, go do that. one of the best periods in history I've ever seen. Enjoying myself some Dragon Balls. The Jasmine Dragon Pearls. Fantastic drink. And even though I say this stuff like it's not about the money, that does not mean that I'm going to live as a hobo while running a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I do mean that as well. I fully intend to make this bigger than most people can imagine. I plan to make the business and everything I run, it's somewhere big enough that I can just absorb Google and Amazon and wash them away of the evil. Because you can't say stuff like that nowadays because we live in a culture where if you say that you want to do good things, that makes you cringe. I've seen it with a lot of people who make the live in the pod type of jokes, but then if you have any type of inclination to do something beyond living in a pod, they'll make fun of you for it. I do not like that aspect of culture. So, it is what it is. Like I mentioned before, everybody thought that this business would immediately fail. But it has grown year over year over year. On average, it takes about 3 to 5 years for any business to make any sort of profit. And somewhere around my 4th or 5th year is when that profit stuff began to come in. And the past year especially has been an unbelievable amount of growth. Most modern audiences will rather have themes and stories than a cohesive plot or consistency. You were correct, and that's actually one of the things I want to change. There's a lot of things I want to say, but again, I don't know how to say them in a nice way. In terms of stories and TV shows and movies, it feels like I'm surrounded by people who are thoroughly enjoying listening to Wheels on the Bus or Mary Had a Little Lamb and think that those are the pinnacle of music. But if you play anything beyond that, they will not even be able to comprehend what they're listening to. So I want to subtly show people how you can really experience the good shows. I want to say the good tasting stuff, but I'm just thinking of tea because I was looking at my teacup. It's a lot like tea. If people only have something like Lipton, they might think, oh, okay, this is okay flavored water, a little bit bitter, but, you know, it's something. You know, like me, because I always have the bag teas at home, back when I was 16 or whatever. Then when I tried actual tea, it's like, oh, wait, this is something different. I had no idea this good thing can actually exist. So I feel like a lot of that is going on with movies and TV shows, where people are just eating up the most McDonald's level garbage they can and thinking they are full or thinking they are satisfied. And I don't want to go too much into this because I'm going to sound a little bit insane. People are going to take this out of context if they want to, but their shitty taste in media is causing various forms of psychosis that they are not even aware of. Yes, you're not supposed to insult your audience, but so be it. It might piss some people off, but it needs to be said. I mentioned in the last video I made about nostalgia and how so many people are basically living off of a miniature Peter Pan syndrome, refusing to grow up. Do you watch the EFAP podcast? No, I do not. Cough, cough, Disney, cough, cough. Yes, Disney has become a soulless machine. What really sucks is I don't have a way to properly communicate this because I'm not in the proper position to say it, because everyone can say things like, when I have a lot of money, I will do this and I will be like that, and all this other type of nonsense, and then when I actually get to that position, all of a sudden, it doesn't apply anymore. even if I become a multi-billionaire, or a multi-trillionaire even, controlling my own nation, maybe even my own continent, just go as far out as you can think, guess what? The stuff I am saying will still be the same. If anything more, I'll become more articulate. A lot less ums and pauses and whatever else I'm doing. I've noticed this a lot with YouTubers. I said I wasn't gonna do this, but screw it, I'm kind of in a flow. The vast, and I mean vast majority of people on Twitch and YouTube and all the other types of streamers and whatnot, they're using the audience as nothing more than a filthy checkbook. And the audience is eating it up like they don't care. Drives me a little bit insane. The amount of stories I have seen from people who end up getting caught with things like hookers and cocaine with their hundreds and thousands of dollars of doing butt all. There was another streamer, I'm gonna do my best to not mention any names, who has been making over $100,000, maybe over $200,000, $300,000, I don't know, but at least $100,000 every year for the past 5 years at least. And just the past couple of months, he did something to get into some financial trouble. I think he got banned from Twitch or something. And he began complaining that all of a sudden he doesn't have the ability to pay rent. All he does is stream. He doesn't have a business. He doesn't have stock. He doesn't have inventory. How do you burn through so much money that you struggle to pay your bills in just a couple of months? After 5 years of making at least 6 figures. Wouldn't a multimedia company need competitors to keep products in high standards? Yeah. 99% yes, but I think of myself as the 1% in that case. I don't need other people to compete with because I have my own ego. If you know what I'm saying. My own ego is enough to keep me in business for a long, long time. I can eliminate every single competitor I have. I can be loved by billions and billions and billions. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop. It means I'm going to look at what I've done so far and see how can I take it to the next level. You know, to feed my own deep-seated neuroses, I guess. It's like I was mentioning before, even if money is not the main goal, I still plan to make a lot of it. And a lot of it is going to go towards myself. I am not going to be one of those people who talks about saving the planet while flying a private jet. I'm just going to fly a private jet. But one of the things I want to get is... you know what? We will come back to this, but remember this house, it's not time to mention this yet. Kinda got myself off track, good job me. What we got here? If aliens ever came to Earth, we are gonna try and sell them tea. Why not? Perfect way to cause some bonds to happen. Before I forget, let me double check some streaming stuff. Okay, good. Looks good, looks good. Okay. So, because I want to get to this house and why this piece of property means more to me than you can imagine. I want to find out who currently owns it. The current price is $534,000. I will easily double that. It means I get to own this property. So when I relaunched the business, I told people I understand your concerns. I can see why you think I won't be able to succeed. 2014 was somewhere around the peak of my training, I guess you can say, before my neck gave out. And in 2015, still riding high on who I was, I launched it. And the first few months, things were going meh. I wasn't giving it as much focus as I could. I was giving it all the focus I could, working 2 other jobs. That's something that needs to be said. Without the business, I was still working around 60 hours a week between Whole Foods and personal training. All the while dealing with a crippling neck injury. And there were some other things on the side I had to do, which I won't be going into with this. But those things were just as important and incredibly time consuming. So how does somebody work that much with knowing so little? Before I was a T-man, I basically lived an entirely different life. I suppose I shouldn't say entirely different, there's a lot of overlap, but I used to be a martial artist, which turned into personal training. And then in 2012 is when all of that ended with a nice, lovely snap. Ooh, that's something I should have done actually. No, because the x-rays have my name on it. I was gonna show the x-rays of my broken arm, but basically my arm snapped in half. It damaged some nerves. I was told I was never gonna use my right arm again. Which, when you want to make your life involve punching people a lot. Damn, you be in a Sigma grind set? I actually don't know what that means, Sigma grind set. But yeah, when you get told that you're never going to use your right arm again, when you want to be a martial artist, it kind of ends a lot of things for you. But I managed to get used to my arm again. I tried to stage a bit of a comeback. I was doing pretty good until eventually my neck gave out. I didn't have any neck injuries of any sort. It's just one of those things that happened. What martial arts did you practice? The main thing I did was a Goju-Ryu, which is a form of karate, which we will come back to when we come back to this. But I did MMA, Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai. I even did a little bit of Kendo and Tai Chi as well. I feel like there's another one I should be throwing in there. Can't even remember anymore. But yeah, it was my entire existence. I was the guy who unironically walked around while wearing a gi. In fact, let me pull up... I've pulled this up in a previous stream when I was doing my Let's Play. I'm gonna pull it up again. Just give me a moment. How am I gonna do this? Give me 1 second. No, not that. Yes, this. Okay, photos. Yep. Yep, there you are. An old picture of me. Open a new tab. Make sure there's no information that'll expose. Alright. This is back in 2011, 2010, I forget. Snap it into place. It's a little bit blurry because only so much... only so many pixels back then. What you see me wearing right here, the gi, this was not cosplay. This is what I actually wore on the regular. Because I really did dedicate... 2009, I just saw. Old pic from 8th Cent 2009. So this is me 2009 wearing this gi. That was what I normally wore. Somebody did a thing. What did they do? Get back here. Somebody is like, oh, Loaded Gibbons, thank you for liking the stream. Have you watched Cobra Kai on Netflix, and so what did you think of it? Actually, I was going to do a video on Cobra Kai, but then I decided at the point my channel was at, it was not going to get as many views and I couldn't devote the time. But now, after they come out with like the whole thing, I might do it because it's better than people realize. It's one of those type of shows where the messages underneath it are just absolutely fantastic. Alright. So, yes. my entire existence revolved around martial arts, punching and kicking people, and all that other fun stuff. You look a lot different in your head, or I look a lot different in your head. I don't look much different now, I'm just fatter. But I'm losing the weight again, which is fantastic. Alright, at some point I gotta go into my, when my health began taking a downturn. And all the other sacrifices I did for the business. So because of all the training I did, all the martial arts, and all the other crazy stuff, I had a lot of energy and a lot of momentum built up in me. And I used what I learned in those martial arts in the business. There is an idea that's got a lot of different names, but the one I'm going to refer to it as is the unconscious punch. Which is you practice punching so much that when time comes, you unconsciously throw the punch in just perfect form. Even if you're completely unaware, even if you are knocked out, your body will just instinctively react in that way. And I use that in the business. Howdy, Aiden. Thank you for joining us. And it's a good thing I did, because those first few years in the business was rough. But anyway, so going back to this, I mentioned before that Goju-Ryu Karate was what I practiced. Give me one moment, let me get a sip. Oh, that's good. So everything you're about to see was originally one single flat piece of land. And that was it. Purchased in 1969 by this Asian man right here, Chinan Sensei. I'm gonna have a bit of a laugh about this. And get out of here. Using his own hands, and the help of a couple of students every now and then, he built all that you were seeing right here. From literally nothing. All of this. And honestly, these pictures do not do it justice whatsoever. Something that annoys me is this website had an update, so now you're looking at all of these pictures in this weird way. It used to be, one at a time. Give it a nice good size. But this is not capturing true beauty of this place. This is one of the indoor dojos. I actually don't even know what this is up here. This was installed after I had been there. This is one place for practicing. This is another place for practicing, I believe. Was this the dojo or was this something else? I don't even remember. It's been so long. But yes, from a single flat piece of land, he built all of this with his hands. And what's funny about this picture is, for a long time, I don't know if you can read this, but it says, "Do not enter, unsafe to occupy." The Spokane Fire Department decided that the building was unsafe to live in. And this is just a picture of him I took from one of the books he wrote, of him pointing to the sign and laughing, because he never moved out. Just holding a beer with his phone in hand. Do not enter, unsafe to occupy. He lived in it. This is him with his family way back when. What's up here? Teruchinen from his home in Spokane, Washington. And I actually stepped foot in this place. And it's one of those things where if you don't have a concept of something beyond your measly existence, I don't want to call it spirituality because that term has become too loaded, but something, a feeling in the air, an energy that says that there is some type of beauty that you have not been able to tap into yet. When you step foot into this place, it gives you that feeling. been many years since I've actually set foot in this thing. I was supposed to go back in 2012, in July, but in June is when my arm broke, and I could not go to the training seminar. So I don't even remember when the last time I visited was, over 10 years ago. Chinen Sensei has since passed away, and in year built, well, that's a lie, it's been steadily being built all the time. In 2018 is when somebody purchased it, sold. I want to find out who it is, why did they purchase it, can I buy it from them, and I want this to be one of my homes away from home. Because it has a deep feeling of... If you want to say nostalgia, go ahead, I'll make you a bit of a hypocrite, but something deeper than nostalgia. Something that'll help bring about certain things in my spirit. Like I said, and I'm going to keep saying for a long time, this business is not about the money. I still plan to make the money. I'm not going to let people screw me over. I am not a charity, but I am not going to screw over people for the sake of money. I am not going to screw over my plans and my visions for the sake of money. After a certain amount of money that you get, you don't need more. And I very much realize that. Which is why I want my finances, after I hit certain thresholds, to be all about working towards these things that better myself and better the people that follow me in one way or another. Kind of like the Good and Lagan video, being that communist figure for people. If they don't believe themselves, they can believe in me, and I'll help give them the tools to no longer need to believe in me. If that makes any sense. I'm imagining a character based on you in OG Dragon Ball. Which one? I've seen OG Dragon Ball, I don't remember anybody who looks like me. So yeah. Alright, going back to the 6 years in business. So 2015, 2016, 2017, I'm working, things are slowly but surely increasing. Facebook was my main source of doing everything. 6 months into it, I got a request to go and do a convention, not an anime convention, a tea convention down in Houston, Texas. The Houston Tea Festival. It was in my plans to, at some point in a couple of years down the line, start doing conventions. And so being told 6 months in, if I wanted to do a convention, I did something incredibly stupid and idiotic. And I said yes. Because my god, was I not prepared for an entire convention. But I worked hard, I got as much as I can done. I went with my best friend down there. I brought everything and the kitchen sink in case I needed to make more tea or I needed to weigh something or whatever it might be. And then I did another stupid thing, the stupid thing I'm still doing to this day, and that is making a sample of every single tea I have. If you ever go to a tea convention, most places will have maybe 2 samples of something. At most 6. And they'll say that's about all I can handle. So here I am with my dumbass. At this point I had 20 some teas by that point. And I was making a sample of all of them. Me and my friend were just scrambling, trying to fulfill everyone's orders. And that's when I truly discovered just how popular Sebastian's Morning Earl Grey Vanilla Cream is. Because the first convention I went to, that tea had a 100% sample to buy ratio. 100%. Maybe I should try martial arts again? Maybe. It depends on the place you go. Because the place I chose was extremely unique. They did not do tournaments. They did not do trophies. They had 4 colors of belts. and emphasized how little the colors actually matter. It's a matter of just knowing who's been practicing longer, basically. So don't let it go to your head. It was a very unique, old school, traditional place where you would get your ass beat if you got lazy. Oh, it was brutal at times. So yeah, 2015, 16, 17, still working at Whole Foods, still doing personal training, working on the business. But as time went on, things began to evolve in my life and began to really realize just how much I really hated working for somebody else and having somebody else tell me what to do, especially when I felt like my way was better. There's that stubbornness I keep talking about. Screw you, I can do it better, just get the hell out of my way. And I've held on to that mindset even now. So in late 2017, was it even late? I don't even remember anymore. I decided to hell with it. I'm going to quit my job at Whole Foods, which was my main source of income at the moment. Like over half of it. I'll still have personal training. I'll take up extra hours at the desk, which was minimum wage for that. And I was going to give real focus to my tea shop. Real focus. Because so far, at this point, the tea shop was almost like a side gig. When I had this issue, and I still have this issue to this day, of thinking in my head, hey, I'm going to do things when the opportunity comes. But what I really need to do is be able to say, how can I put it? I need to make my own chances. Create your own reality, basically. Design your universe. I could have been waiting until I was dead for the opportunities to come. And as you'll find out in just a little bit, that attitude goes from awesome to awful in about the span of a year. So I do that, I quit, I start putting more focus into the business, and it begins to grow. Surprise, surprise. I give more focus to the business grows a little bit more. Nowhere near enough for me to live off of. But at this point, I begin my job at Uber, which was fantastic because it was working my own hours. I choose when I work, when I stop, all of that. So I can devote as much energy as I can in the mornings to the tea shop, and when I'm personal training, and when I can't do it anymore, flip on Uber, start picking people up. And that was my main source of income. And at this point, it's kind of like I'm a master of my own domain type of thing. And it was feeling pretty good, to be honest. Exhausting, but really good. Actually, I need to put more emphasis on exhausting, because at this point, I kind of almost stopped training as well. My neck injuries and back injuries were getting even worse. The only physical fitness I did was when I was personal training, which, I mean, it's still something, but it's not what I used to do. And eventually, when was it? Yeah, very early 2018, in February 2018, is when I decided, okay, things are going good. I'm ready to take things to a new level. I think making business is the only way to have a sustainable life. Not necessarily. Making a business can also be a path to ruin, as we will talk about in just a little bit. So what really set off all of these chain of thoughts in my head was I needed a new car. Making an incredibly long, depressing story short, I did not have the best upbringing. My parents were so distant that Oh, this is gonna sound awful. Really awful, but I mean this. I might have been better as an orphan than with the parents I had, because the stuff they tried to teach me, I can't even begin to talk about it because everyone's gonna think I'm lying. It was that over the top bad. And so I had all of these ideas of how difficult it was going to be to get me a new car. But I was able to go in, trade my car in, get another car within a couple of hours. And that was a fantastic decision because the car I was driving was basically dead. Like, it had so many things damaged on it. And the new car, yeah, I had to start paying money for the new car, but I saved so much money on gas that I actually had more money at the end of the month via saving gas than I would have otherwise. So it was a fantastic thing, and I began thinking to myself, you know what? What if I could get me a bit of a loan to start a physical store? Which is what I really want to do. Give me one moment, let me get another sip. Man, I don't know how people can do this day in and day out. My throat is killing me. Practice, I guess. So I began to look into it, see what kind of loans I can get. My credit score at this point is like 780. I've never missed a payment at anything. It's as high as you can get, almost. What's the highest? 850? It's as high as you can get without, like, doing a multi-million-dollar business type of deal. And sure enough, I talked with some people and I found out I can get me some loans. It is time to begin what I always call the mid-game. I compared my business ventures as early game, mid-game, late game. If you relate it to video games, no matter what game it is, in the early game, it's where I struggle with the most, in the beginning. But if I can survive the early game, and I can make it to the late game, nobody can stop me no matter what game it is. Where would the physical store be? It would have been in Arlington Heights, Illinois. There was actually a specific store, one specific location, which I had my eye on for over 8 years, since 2010. And it was vacant for all of that time as well, I think. And sure enough, right when I thought I wanted to open up my store, somebody took it. That's the way things go sometimes. But there was plenty of other places like right next to it. How much time is left on the Lo-Fi Hip Hop Mix 2021? Okay, good. I forgot how long it was. I'm gonna go to my website so people can look at this beautiful dragon. Actually, no, I'm not. What I'm gonna do, until I need the internet again, go back to this. Where was I? Oh yeah, so I tried to go ahead and open up the physical store. Which for me, the way I always saw it is when I open up the first store is the beginning of the mid-game. I know what I am capable of when I have the resources. The entire T-Venture has been a case of me trying to desperately do what I can with as little resources as I had available to me. And I had very little resources throughout the entire thing. Oh man, was it terrible. And now I had, I don't even know, $50-some thousand at my disposal to start, with potentially more when I get things going. I had more offers when things actually began. But unfortunately, things proved to be a little bit more difficult than they needed to be. Mostly thanks to Illinois. I've already done TCast on this. I'm not going to go into every single little thing. But the stories that can really sum up the pain in the ass this whole thing was they wanted to treat me as a restaurant. Any other restaurant. Despite me having no plans for food or a kitchen or anything of the sort. Because hey, that's the way things are going to be. Which means every single regulation that a restaurant has, they wanted to give to me. So things like a grease trap, ventilation system, kitchen floating for a kitchen that doesn't exist. All of these things, which was going to be tens of thousands of dollars to implement, they wanted me to have. And I nearly broke when I found out that they could sign waivers to these things. But they didn't want to because, well, what if I wanted to become a full-fledged restaurant later down the line? You mean if I change my entire business model? Well, you can sue me if you want. I don't care. Give me the waivers. But no. So that's a really long story, really short. Months of headaches, but eventually I found a place that had enough stuff installed where I felt like I could begin. And this is one of the biggest mistakes I made in my business journey. I began to hire people, architects and whatnot, building things out to set things up and draw the blueprints and buying the is furniture the right word? Buying the stuff that tea is going to be on, that people can sit on, etc. You know, all the stored furniture. And when it came time to sign the lease, after about a month of all this, the guy, the actual owner of all of these buildings, who lives in Florida, I've been talking to a middleman all this point, tells me, yeah, no. We're not going to, we're not gonna do it. We're not gonna sign the lease with you. Why not? Basically, they felt I did not have enough capital. I explained to them that I could also get more capital once things get going, but that didn't matter. I still remember the day I got that email. I was driving Uber, and it was a little after 7 o'clock when I got it. I pulled over to the side, and I cannot begin to describe the sinking gut feeling in my stomach that I got when I saw the word no, or deny, or whatever word they used. When I saw that it wasn't going to happen. How do you have so much confidence in yourself? Well, we'll get back to that. We'll get back to that. And it broke me. I did not stop there. I tried for another month, and I found another place. This was the final nail in the coffin that made me realize that this shit is not going anywhere. Is when I was looking at a place that had everything I needed almost. Would have been fantastic. In fact, they had a basement I could have lived out of if I wanted to. And they said that they couldn't just sign the lease or anything, or not they, the landowners would have been okay with signing the lease right then and there, but the city, Arlington Heights, said that there are some issues because this is what was known as a planned unit development. What is a planned unit development, you ask? At the time, I did not know, so I asked the city, and the city did not know. So I asked a friend of mine who was a business owner as well, and he explained that a planned unit development, to make a long story short, was a building that could have been used either as a business or as a residence, because it was like right in between. Now this confused the shit out of me because this building did not have separate rooms. This building was literally a box. A box with a basement and a bathroom. That's it. How could this be called a living residence? This makes no sense. But so be it. In order to make this officially a business and not a planned unit development home or whatever freaking words they wanted to use, I don't remember at this point, I had to pay, I think it was $1,500, $1,500 to begin a, I think it was 16-step process to get this going. And these 16 steps, some of them were complicated as fudge, with a lot of meetings and needing other people to approve of this and all this other bullcrap stuff. And as I found out, if anything went wrong in that 15-step process, I would have to do it again. I would have to... Jeremiah's just subscribed. Thank you for subscribing. I will need to pay the $1,500 again and begin from square one. Bruh, 6 people? Yeah, I know. It's about average, especially for a channel of this size that does not normally live stream. Live stream is not the main focus of the channel. And it was at this point that I basically broke. Thousands of dollars was already put in. Lots of time was put in. I stopped doing Uber. I left personal training. I was on almost zero income. The income I had was from the sales I was getting. One of the good things from all this was the opening up a physical store began a lot of talk. And so it was like a lot of almost free marketing, even though I put money into marketing itself as well. It got me a lot more business. But that didn't matter since, well, it all kind of fell apart. And by this point, I began the journey in March. And now it was June or July, I want to say July. And it broke me. It broke me in a way I was not broken ever because my bad English. I had not been broken this bad since I was told I was never going to use my right arm again. Like, it all seemed done, it all seemed bleak. Because I was still, I was using the loan money to pay for everything else. All of the various furniture I had to put into a storage unit in the hopes that one day something can happen. But that was a drain on my expenses. Just paying for everything. And by the end of it all, I went from having like $50-some thousand up to $50-some thousand down in debt. And at this point, this was like insurmountable. So I spent a lot of time just walking around in a daze. It was not a fun time. And it was around this time, 2018, let's say, that things began to take a turn for the worse. I had to throw myself back into work with Uber and just online tea shop stuff, dedicating a lot of time to that. Other projects I was helping out with that in retrospect I kind of regret, but I'm not going to go into those. That were taking a lot of time and energy. It was beginning of a huge downhill slope that lasted up until last year. So 2018, all of that was happening. I was in an apartment all by myself, paying the rent and whatnot. 2019 is when I went to debt consolidation because I couldn't pay it all. My credit score went from 780 to like 530, which is a huge drop. It's back up to 620, I think, ish. But it was all over. And I still remember some of the more devastating moments when I said to myself, that's it. This business cannot continue on. You know, sitting in the living room, hands in my head, tears flowing, just thinking to myself, it's all over. Everything I hoped to achieve, all the things I wanted to build, I was not going to be able to. It's done. And this is going back to what I said in the beginning of the stream, the concept of the unconscious punch. The things I learned in my martial arts when they pushed me to points where I did not think was possible. Even though I felt like that, even though I thought it's all over, even though I felt there was no hope, I kept walking forward. I kept doing things for the business. I kept trying to make things work. I kept going to conventions, including tea conventions, or including anime conventions. I began to do all of these things, and even though it was growing, you know, my debt was crippling, to say the least. Between 2018 and 2020, I gained around 100 pounds. Which is a lot of weight. I went from... Okay, at my peak weight was... my peak low weight was around 190, I think, when I had the nice, lovely six-pack in 2014, 2015. I was around 220, 230 at 2017, I think. And then in 2019, somewhere around there, is when I broke 300 pounds. At the peak, I was at 330 something. Currently at a healthy 290. Well, no, that's not healthy at all. But compared to 330, it is. I'm making my way down. Like I mentioned in previous streams and posts, my health began to get to a point where I could not ignore it anymore. But 2018 to 2020, I couldn't focus on my health. I had to focus on paying rent, not being evicted, paying the bills. I had to take care of my cat that was blind, deaf, 25 years old at this point. He was not a healthy kitty. It was just one thing on top of another, on top of another. Every single day, I woke up exhausted. Every single day, I woke up just feeling like absolute death. As I described it to somebody else later on who asked, why didn't I just off myself? I looked at him dead in the face and I just said, I didn't have the bullet. As grim as that sounds. You know, it's not that I didn't want to, it's just I didn't have the method. It was just a constant, never-ending stream of backbreaking suffering. It wasn't 100% terrible. I did have good things happen here and there. The Chicago International Tea Festival was just a fantastic thing. It showed me how good a good leader can make things. Because the International Tea Festival and the Midwest Tea Fest was run by the same lady, and she kept those things running smoothly. I've seen people who do a poor job at running things, and she was one of the few people who showed me how things should be handled. Which is why I feel like at some point I can handle a convention of my own, but that's nowhere near what I am now. So yeah, health is getting worse by the day. Depression is getting worse. Finances are getting worse. The games I had to play to pay the bills are ridiculous. And somehow I kept my clothes on throughout the entire thing. I don't know how, but I did. Until about 2020. Yeah, because we're in 2021, right? Yeah. In July. No. When was it? March of 2019 is when I had a YouTuber with a lot more followers. I think at that point, 90,000. I sent him some tea a long while back. It's kind of like a thank you for what he's been doing, because he was covering the Vic Mignogna stuff. And many months later, I was surprised because my phone began to kind of blow up with sales at like 11 something at night. And I saw that people were leaving notes saying, I heard about you on Ricada's stream. What? What's happening here? Congrats on keeping your clothes on and not opening an OnlyFans. Yeah, but with my obesity, I don't know how sexy that would have been. That's something I want to stress more as well, is it's one thing if you're fat in general, but when you're fat and used to be a personal trainer, it weighs on you even more. Pun intended. So yeah, he did that and it was fantastic. I thanked him. And August, when my 5th year anniversary rolled around, I sent him a super chat, a lot of super chats actually, basically saying thank you for your previous shout out. I'm a small tea business trying to get things going. And I forgot all the things I said. Basically, you know, I plan to be a business in the anime industry that does not involve diddling kids, because there was a lot of stories breaking about that. And he gave me the shout out, people went to the website, and I exploded. And from this, the website exploded, but the YouTube channel also exploded. By this point, the website was... I'm gonna do this all the damn time, aren't I? The YouTube channel was only 180 viewers. The Naruto video only had about 1,000 views. And I cannot directly tie this to Mr. Ricada, but I'm assuming it was because of his fans that the channel and that video in particular exploded. And for the first time in a long time, there was a sense of hope that I was sure was dead inside me. Like, I cannot stress enough the level of crippling, and I mean crippling depression that those last couple of years were. Like, existence was misery. I don't care how emo it sounds, it was awful. And I finally had some ray of hope in the darkness. And since that time last year, things have drastically turned around. Where there's finally some sense of happiness. Some sense of, hey, I can have maybe some days off. Days in which I don't need to be stressing out for every little thing. You know, the business began to be 100% self-sufficient. It's slowed down a little bit since February. But from September until February, it was pretty much full focus on the tea shop. Because every day would just be order after order. Since then, it's not been 100%. I've had to do a little bit of driving on the side. No more Uber though, because I'm tired of dealing with people. But it is what it is. the YouTube channel has been growing as well. And I've been getting more and more support. Support via YouTube memberships. Support via Patreon. Support via... The biggest support right now has actually been the Tea of the Month Club, which relaunched a couple of weeks ago. And it's fantastic. Right now, my level 1 goal is 2,500 passive income a month. Now, 2,500 is not enough to live off of, but it's enough so that even if I hit a slow point with the tea shop, it'll be enough to stay afloat, and I can devote 100% of my time and energy, as I did before, to the tea store and the YouTube channel. And it's one of the reasons I keep trying to shill myself. Actually, that's a funny little thing, because I don't know how many people go from this YouTube channel and purchase on the website, but I see how many people go from this YouTube channel to the website. And something like 80% of my traffic on any given week is people from the YouTube channel to the website. So if I was to follow that trend of 80% of my sales, theoretically speaking, being from this YouTube channel, I probably make the most money out of anyone on a subscriber to... what do you call it? Like, subscriber to sales, or subscriber to income revenue thing, whatever. In dividends or real estate? What do you mean, Robert Smith? I'm not sure what you are referring to. What was I? Oh yeah. So yeah, that's why I've been shilling the Patreon. Something I gotta start shilling more of is you can find me in other places like Odyssey and BitChute as well. So if you have accounts there, follow me there as well. And yeah, there's a lot of things which I want to do. You know, all the videos I want to do as well. But tea shop related stuff as well. One of the things I want to make me is the color changing mugs. I know the theory and how to make them, I just need to practice. But the practice requires time and resources, both of which I do not have any at the moment. How are we going to generate passive income? Through the website, but through things like Patreon. Yes, listed. Well, you can't see the mouse, damn it. If you look in the upper left corner of the screen, support us on Patreon. It's listed in the description as well. Ad revenue, which has been chaotic, but is giving me a good idea. People joining the Tea of the Month Club on the website, YouTube memberships, things like that. And once I hit, and it's been increasing by a decent amount every month for the past 3 months, 4 months, I've lost count. March, April, May, June, July, August, 6 months, really? Alright, 5 or 6 months. It's been steadily increasing, which makes me quite happy. I've been talking a while. I'm gonna grab myself a little drink. If anyone has any type of questions or comments of the stories I've told so far, feel free to let me know right now. If not, we'll move on to the next phase of whatever I'm gonna be talking about. When you comment, why do I have to comment up here? Oh man, Facebook's way of doing things is just awful. And I finished all the tea. That makes me sad. Alright, still going with 6 viewers. That's good. Am I gonna do it? No, I'm not gonna do it yet. Yeah, so I'm always looking at ways to generate more income, because I want to put my focus back on 100% the tea shop and the YouTube channel. I mean, I am more than grateful for the support I've gotten in the past year. It has been fantastic. Did you ever think about joining the wait, why am I getting old messages right now? Or is that the second time you've sent it? I'm gonna assume that it's the second time you sent it. Did you ever think about joining the Mafia during your depression? No, I did not. I thought about doing other things that were not particularly good. I'm not gonna go into that for obvious reasons. But, yeah, it was a dark, dark time in my life. I'm not out of the woods yet, but I can see the light, which is what's really fantastic. Oh, 6 years of tea and business. It's been something, an intense 6 years. After so long. Because really I've not really had time off since 2017. 2018, 2019 is when things got really dark, but 2017 is when I threw myself headfirst into everything. And like I said, that's when the weight gain began. And the weight gain has thankfully been going down since. Oh, it's been something. So between the 5, 6, sometimes 7 viewers we've had really 2 or 3 people saying something. How about some of the quiet people speak up? I know there's gotta be some questions. You know, feel free to say stuff. Let me know what you think. Any questions? Because like I said, one thing I will not forget is the help that I have been getting from everybody. Ooh, actually this reminds me. As I said earlier, I want to get back to the Henry Ford quote and my interaction with the audience and how that's going to work going forward, and how it's always worked, but I'm gonna lay it out more specifically. So he said, if I asked my customers what they want, they would have told me faster horses. In regards to why he decided to build the car and why he basically ignored them. He didn't ignore the customers outright, but he saw beyond what they were saying and what they actually wanted. The stuff underneath the surface. They said they wanted faster horses because all they could perceive were the horses. What they really just wanted was to go faster. Whether or not it involved horses didn't matter. One moment. And so he saw what they actually wanted, but ignored that method of getting it. That's not like how I'm going to be doing a lot of my stories going forward. Where I hear what people are saying, but they don't know what they're actually saying. If you know what Is my audio fine? Test? Okay, it's fine. So they accidentally clicked the thing and I thought it throws something. But nope, we're good. Alright, so. Yes, a lot of the stories I plan to bring out, if I were to just kind of explain what they were, I don't think it'll garner too much interest in the beginning. But once people begin to watch or read or listen, whatever that might be, they will discover that's something. What I mean by that is, on paper, The Lord of the Rings, it's kind of garbage. if you were to describe it to somebody today who does not know of Lord of the Rings. So what, you're telling me that these boring, unimportant little creatures are just taking a magic ring that barely really does anything to destroy it on a mountain? They don't really fight, they gotta get around this stuff, and they're dealing with the internal conflicts, and these two hobbits are gay, and all this other stuff. On the surface, the Lord of the Rings does not sound that interesting. But the way it is told, it's such a piece of artwork that, for me, it only gets better with time. Because Tolkien has a way of hitting certain nodes of humanity that nobody is able to capture. Because too many authors nowadays, to go back to the saying, hear people saying they want faster horses, and so they keep giving them horses. But Tolkien was able to go beyond that, and was able to see what really drove people's souls. It's stuff like that which I want to work on, and stuff like that I want to bring to the table. Not everything's going to be deep. Some things will just be stupid and silly. One of the ideas, one of the stories was co-written by all my friends, which is going to be very loosely based on certain aspects of me and my life, where this fictional character opens up a tea shop, and the three people who were hired to help with the tea shop, hired by his best friend who was a troll, are the three women who he has ever fancied in his life. And it'll be a story of just awkward shenanigans. See, that's one of the things that just sounds stupid when I'm talking about it. I fully recognize that, but with the skits we had written out, it was pretty funny. We didn't even write them out, it was just purely word of mouth that we discussed. So yeah, that is the stories that we have had so far. An hour and 37 minutes, not too bad. At this point, there's not really too much else to say besides thank you for your support, and I look forward to your continued support. It is obviously the financial stuff, as I keep talking about. Patreon, Subscribestar, even though I'm pretty sure that doesn't even work anymore for me. Tier of the Month Club, just whatever method you can. And if you cannot financially help, which, trust me, I fully understand, sharing videos, liking them, commenting, all of the algorithm boosting stuff, especially sharing. Because like with the tea shop, I know the stuff I had was good, but it took Mr. Rackets giving me a shout out and people actually trying my stuff for them to realize, hey, I've got good tea. That's why I'm always so successful whenever I go to any convention, especially tea conventions, because I let people try my stuff, they see how good it is, they give me money. You can't explain that. So yeah, especially with the sharing stuff, I want to get more subscribers. So yeah, I think that just about wraps it up. If anybody has any other types of questions, comments, let me know as soon as you can, because again, 15-second delay. And yeah, thank you very much everyone who has joined me on this 6-year journey that is finally, after so long of going on a down slope, is starting to go up. But we still got a long journey ahead of us. 6-year anniversary. If you asked me what I thought I was going to be when I began 6 years from now, it was not going to be in this position. Not at all. Everything is different, but at the same time, it's not. I I still have a final destination I want to be at. I just took a different path than what I expected. That's okay. I need to give this its own type of symbol. The Tea of the Month Club. Why is this taking so long to load? Why is this so ugly? Yeah, this needs to have its own little symbol or something. So I can put it alongside this. It's like Tea of the Month Club, right over here. But yeah. Whoopa. Get back here. Oh, working on this website has also been quite something. Oh, I gotta tell people to do reviews on Tea of the Month Club. But, yep, that's about it. Looks like there's no more questions. So, thank you all for joining me. I'm gonna let things slowly trickle back out to nothingness. Thank you all for joining me and enjoy the last few seconds of the music.